Oh, we're live. Hi, and welcome to the Going Solo Network Media and Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and Podcast Network. This is Let's Talk About Dating slash The Perfect Catch. Normally with Christine, she's just a bit late getting here, so I'm starting off the talk. My name is Barry Selby. I am a dating relationship coach. Guidance, particularly for women, is my strength. I help women really heal their hearts, attract healthy relationships. A best-selling author and a speaker. And Christine will be here in a moment. She can introduce herself when she gets here. And we're going to talk today about an interesting topic because it is right now 2 days before the holidays, 2 days before Christmas. And so I want to talk about how it feels if you're alone over Christmas. And particularly this year, being the COVID year, a lot of people spending a lot of time alone at Christmas. So we want to talk to that and how we can help people navigate that. And also some tips and keys. And I've got some stories of my own to share, so stay tuned for that. And I'm waiting for Christine to come join us. Yes, the fear of being alone at Christmas is the question, because it isn't so much about being alone. It's the fear of being alone that for a lot of people is challenging. You know, it's a time for a lot of people where they feel depressed. Sometimes it's scary for people because they're used to being with their families. And if you're being wise according to the rules, you'd be staying away from family, staying at home if you're not already with them. So we want to give some tips, some guidance, and some support as we get closer and closer to that wonderful day in 2 days. I'm not sure when she's going to get here, so I guess I'll lead off right now. So, a little sidebar slightly. If you hadn't already guessed, I'm English. That's my accent. And coming from England, we didn't have Thanksgiving. So Christmas was the only time we got together with family. You know, in America, it's quite likely you may have seen your family twice this year, Thanksgiving and Christmas. In normal years. You might have seen your family on Thanksgiving and Christmas. But this year's been a weird one, as we all know. And particularly in the United States and in several states, it's been restrictive. Like I'm in California, and so is Christine. And I'm not going to get political. Our rules have made it very challenging where we basically aren't supposed to go anywhere, basically, except to the grocery store if you need to, very rarely, and then stay home and do nothing else. So seeing family is a rarity. There she is. Oh, nice hat.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. A little late, hopefully worth the wait.
Yes, well, you have the right. We're both wearing the red for Christmas, which is perfect.
Yes, yes. My chapeau.
Yes, indeed. Well, I've already introduced myself and started talking a little bit, so you want to jump in and introduce yourself so we can catch up?
Thank you. I'm Christine Baumgartner with The Perfect Catch, dating and relationship coach. So lovely to see you, Barry.
Nice to see you too. I love the hat. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I know I would be a little festive today.
Yeah, I was looking for my what you call it, ugly sweater, but I thought I wouldn't wear that today.
I have a couple of those too.
Yeah, mine lights up now. So
I thought, with this challenging subject, we need to put a little cheerful on because it is. Oh, yeah, and I love what you were saying. It's so, we don't want to push it away. We don't want to think about it. We don't want to acknowledge it, and that doesn't help at all. I think it's one of those things that just grows, right? Isn't that what you find? Mm-hmm.
What's interesting, because last week when we were talking, I talked about, I think it was last week, I talked about how I had my first white Christmas when I traveled with a girlfriend to Idaho. And I'm realizing that, for many of us, we have traditions for our Christmas experience, especially if you go into a family that was together. There were things you always did. So when it's this year, which is the unusual year where we're not supposed to be together, it can put a certain pressure on us thinking that we're missing out, we're not having what we want, which is the reason why a lot of people are very distressed about not going home for Christmas.
Yeah.
And as I said in my thing, being in America, the odds of seeing your family is usually twice a year, which is Thanksgiving and Christmas. So the pressure is not necessarily as strong as it would be, like I say, where I grew up, we only got together with family at Christmas because it wasn't a Thanksgiving. So there was a lot more pressure on us to see our family, connect with people we don't normally see because it's only once a year. So at least in some sense, again, not counting this year as being the weird one, we'd normally go see family Thanksgiving and Christmas. Although in fact, a lot of people, I would say that family connection is actually more at Thanksgiving than it is at Christmas here. I know a lot of friends of mine, they go home in November, but not go home in December. So it depends.
Yeah.
So I was going to throw out some of my own experiences and also some things I do because of my own background. So, but if you want to jump in first, because I've already talked quite a bit.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, certainly. Our tradition has been all of my family lives a plane ride away in 3 different states, and we alternate which state we go to for Thanksgiving and then a different state for Christmas. And we spend 7 to 10 days together. And so just one day, even if just doing that felt very too little.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be enough. And how can you pack it all in one day? And so for our family, what we've done is every day we've done a little bit. We've spent an hour or two. We're going to spend a really long time on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve, but so we can have our little fix. And we're still acknowledging it's not what we want. It's not what we're used to. It's not what's normal. So what other things have I been able to do in my life to keep bucking myself up? Isn't that a good old fashioned word?
Buck up. Yeah, exactly.
Buck up. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
So qualify, you said about how you're spending some time Christmas Day with your family, Christmas Eve. Do you mean on Zoom, or what do you mean?
Yeah, we're Zooming. So
Okay,
everybody's Zooming. And what's been fun is we've been coming up with, well, let's come up with a plan, because we're not going to be in our normal thing, which is what happens is people go off and have little side conversations, or, you know, my brother will be in the kitchen cooking wherever he is. He cooks in everybody's kitchen. You know, you walk in and let me help you with my favorite thing. But how do you do that over Zoom? So we've been talking about it and sort of practicing with our little mini hour and a half, 2-hour conversations with people can set up their computers in different rooms so that we can have a little side conversation, or we'll do like a FaceTime with somebody over here. Okay, I want to FaceTime with you because I want to hear what's been going on with like one of the kids at school because they've been able to go back, and let's play hangman with the really smallest one. And that way it's the things that we normally do when we're together.
Yeah.
These little side things, and it's worked. We've practiced it and it's worked. And so I've been trying to come up with options to share with clients as well of, you can't do it the way you did it. So what other options are there available? Yeah.
Because the thing is, this is interesting. It's a two-level topic, because for one case, it is about everyone's having to deal with this situation right now. Because basically it's a global situation. So finding other ways to be creative or have ways of connecting when you can't be there in person is a very big deal. The second level, though, is for those people who aren't with people normally, who spend Christmas alone. And I've spent a lot of Christmas alone, so I can speak to that very personally.
Yeah.
But one of the things is I read an article a couple of days ago about, and it's funny because being from a Jewish background, it resonates for me, was someone wrote an article was like, for this year, for Christmas, be like the Jews, order Chinese food.
Yes, and watch a movie.
Whereas the thing, my friends, we did this for several years. We stopped about 2 years ago. Actually, to give that whole story. A bunch of us who are subscribed to the Jewish faith. I wouldn't say we're like Jewish fanatics by any stretch of the imagination, but we get together on Christmas Day and we call it the Juvies, where the Jews go to the movies. Well, because being in LA, because out of the 5 of us, there's 5 of us at one time, there were about 10 at one point, but 5 of us, 3 of the people in the group were in the movie industry, so it's called the Juvies, and they were connected.
Oh.
So we traditionally would go up to Hollywood, and we meet up there, and we go to the ArcLight Theater, which is next to the Cinerama Dome on Hollywood Boulevard, and we go and we'd actually do either 1 or 2 movies in a row. Then we go across the street to the Roosevelt Hotel, where they have a great little burger joint. We'd have it's called 25 degrees, because that's the difference between rare and medium, apparently, on the scale. That's why they called it that. But basically, you pick, and the burger joint was so cool because you pick the bread, the burger, because it could be different sorts of meats, or chicken, or vegetarian, different cheeses, and they have what they call Guinness shakes, which are milkshakes with some Guinness in it.
Awesome. That sounds wonderful. Yeah.
And then we go back and see either 1 more or 2 more movies. So we can basically see 3 movies in a day and have a meal.
Oh.
It's not getting expensive though.
Yes.
It's over $100 each by the time we finish.
Oh yeah.
So about 3 years ago, my friend, she sort of coined the whole thing because she's connected to the film industry, was getting screeners for the Oscars. So we decided, let's just do it because she bought a house. So let's go at her house. Once we figured out, first of all, we could bring our own burgers, whatever style we liked. She had got the recipe from the hotel, how to make the Guinness shakes. And so we do it at her house, and we'd show up, and we'd either we'd be in PJs or very comfy clothing, and we'd have screeners to watch the movies, and we do 3 movies in a day, and we'd have the thing scheduled like we would at the theaters. So we'd know, okay, we're here at 2 o'clock, this movie's showing. Here at 5 o'clock, this movie's showing. We're eating from this time. And it made it very festive that way, because it was like we were doing the same thing in the house we would do at the theaters. And so for me, that was one of the things I loved about it, because again, I spent a lot of time Christmases alone because coming from England on my own, didn't come with family. My family's all back home. I learned how to navigate this. And I had an advantage, again, being Jewish. My parents didn't really celebrate Christmas that much. It was like presents and that was it. No tree, no big decorations. So I guess I was raised with a lower expectation of how ta-da Christmas would be.
Yeah, ta-da is a really good word. I love that word.
So for me, the Jubilees was an up level to do that. So I know for some people, it's like, oh, I don't want to do that. I want to be with the family. Well, what can you do differently this year that is more entertaining, more fun, more pleasurable, where you're playing within the restrictions but still having fun, like you were saying about doing Zoom with everybody or FaceTime. We have these tools now, which 5 years ago we didn't really have.
Yeah.
So being able to connect with somebody, even through the screen, it isn't perfect. It isn't the hugs. It isn't the physical embrace, but it is the energetics of being able to connect and see them and know they're there, which is better than just a phone call, frankly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That to me is an improvement of what could happen. So I know it's like matters of degrees of like, well, it's horrible or it's perfect, and it's in between that. But recognizing we have options that we oftentimes ignore because we don't think we can do them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're single, why not get together with your single friends and have a Zoom conference call?
Mm-hmm. And you can watch a movie over FaceTime, over Facebook, and you could watch a movie even over Zoom and have your own popcorn and your own dinner and your own alcoholic or non-beverage and have a whole critique about it. And I've had people doing that as single people throughout COVID. And I think it would be really helpful at Christmas time for people to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it'll make you feel some sort of a connection.
Oh yeah, and it's funny because this year, because of what's happened with Warner Brothers announcing that they're going to live stream their movie premieres at the same time they put them in theaters, because most theaters in America aren't showing movies right now.
Yes.
So you can actually see a brand new movie on your TV.
I know. Isn't that wonderful?
So that's an additive. Yeah, I mean, it does diminish the sitting with tons of other people eating popcorn in front of a screen in a dark theater, but you can still, at least, even just watching a laptop, you can still think of the experience. You can still put yourself there energetically.
Yes. And as you said, it's way better, certainly way better than nothing. And it's way better than the telephone. For such a people-y person as I am.
Me too.
Yeah, both of us. I mean, it's so weird. I'm the most extroverted person in my family. I'm the only one that lives alone. So I've had to be so proactive about this, because all of them are in relationships and some of them even have kids. So I've had to be even more proactive about this and how to get friends on Zoom. And so one of the things I was thinking is for people who have nobody. They will tell me I have nobody. I don't have any family. I don't have any close friends, or my close friends are busy with their families. And what am I going to do? Well, you still have a couple of days to be thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are meetups, truly meetups of people in your same fix, your same shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And to reach out and Google, is there a meetup for people that are getting together on Christmas Day and having a chat? Because there are. I've seen them. I've Googled them for my couple of people that I know are like that. And I said, here, go look, because I don't want you to feel like you have nobody. I don't want you to feel like you have no options, no hope. And the other thing that I've talked to a couple of local places that I have gone around the Christmas time and brought gifts to, like assisted living places, which of course you can't go to, right. But the computers, I said, could you set up like a FaceTime or a Skype or a Zoom where we could still talk to the people there? And they said, what a great idea. So if you have a place that's near you where they have been so bereft of being able to talk to people and have contact with people, and I have to tell you, the stories they told me of their life and their experiences and their travels, I was hanging on every word. Their stories were glorious and heartwarming. And I just watched in person when I did it a few years ago, this twinkle in their eye that like they got all sparked up talking about it again. Yeah. So I think there are options for people who even don't have a family member or a friend that they could contact.
I would, if I would add to that, one of the things I've done in the past, I haven't done it for quite a while now, is on Christmas morning, there are many organizations, especially in cities, more than in suburbs, but in cities, where they go feed the homeless.
Mm-hmm.
And there may be food kitchens, or it's a, what those things?
Food bank.
Say again?
A food bank?
Food bank, yes, food bank, where they're doing things on Christmas Day and they need extra people to help. Mm. So first of all, you're going to be helping people who are worse off than you are. So that's an ego boost if nothing else. It makes you feel warm. It's like you can give that way. But secondly, you're being around other people. Yes, I know you're going to wear masks and gloves and be somewhat separate that way. But to be able to participate with something on Christmas Day, because for most people, at least my experience is, when you're sitting inside a room with four walls and no physical contact, it can feel pretty depleting rather. Yeah. So to go out into the world wherever you can, I know we're going to bear in mind that certain cities are more strict than other cities right now, but to go and help out and feed the homeless or contribute to the food bank and do things that are giving your hands to help, because they need more hands to help right now, can be such a great gift to give. Because Christmas, the tradition is about the Christmas presents. Well, what if you give the gift of your presents somewhere else? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That can be transformational. So, like you were saying with the elderly people, that's not just for you to get from. Obviously, it's for them as well, because it uplifts their spirit. So, being able to do things that are not just, I'm going to sit by the tree and get my presents out, which can be fun for about an hour. Mm-hmm. Unless you're a cat, then you get in the box and it plays for days.
Or in the tree.
Exactly. So many of my friends are posting pictures of their trees where the lights are set up like 3 feet off the ground for the cats to avoid.
Yes, I went and put a fence around theirs. It was so funny.
Yeah. So getting back on track.
Yes. We're keeping our humor through this. I think it's so important that you did that. Yeah.
Although, actually, that thought's finished. I'm going to just check if you want to go further that part. So you got my point. But back to what you said, back to about the cats and stuff. For some people, this is a time when they really want to start thinking about adopting a pet. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you should do it just for the holidays, so please don't do that. You could, although if you want to foster, because there are quite a few animal shelters that love people fostering their animals for a week, a month, a few weeks till they get a new home. So if you don't want to have the commitment to have a pet for the rest of their lives, you can even foster a dog or a cat or a rabbit or something that they would allow to help you. They want you to help take care of whilst they can be at the shelter. So even if you don't have anybody around, you can do something that simple and yet that pleasurable to have an animal around you that lifts your spirits. I mean, cats and dogs, for me, they're the immediate mood lifters.
Yes.
So being able to help out that way, whether again foster temporarily or to adopt a shelter animal. Please don't go to the puppy mills, but getting a foster animal or adopting an animal can change your life too. So there's plenty of options we can do to raise our vibration and to feel more festive, so to speak.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And to have a new energy, a new little being in your house, it changes. It changes. Oh, you have to keep an eye on them. Oh, I have to feed them. Oh, I should buy a brush. And well, they're going to come sit on my lap. And it just changes it's going to sound so woo with the vibration, but it just does. I mean, my two cats died within 5 months of each other. And before I rehomed Sammy, I had a house alone, and I hadn't been without a pet in over 25 years. And for those 2 weeks, I was like, wow, it feels really different. It's so different to not have a person, but to not even have an animal. I hadn't had that contrast in such a long time. I was like, oh, I think this makes me appreciate it even more. And the thing about fostering is that these animals really need to be socialized. So you're doing such a good thing for them too. And you do see, gosh, do I like this responsibility? Do I like a cat? Maybe I'll try a dog this next time and see, do I like that? And your commitment is for such a short time that you're not locked in. Because I like dogs. I'm much more a cat person. So if I needed to foster a dog, I knew it would need to be a limited time, except who God, maybe I'd get attached. Much more a person long-term for cats. I like the idea that they're kind of more self-sufficient. So that way you get to try something on and see what you think. And also you get to learn a little bit more about yourself, about, are you a cat person or a dog person? Because they say owners and cats have staff, and I'm really clear about that. That's how mine have all been.
I used to be a dog person only, but I've become very okay with cats over the years, having cats out for friends and being around cats. Yeah.
Yeah.
So dogs and cats both for me. In fact, I would even think about if I was where I am right now doesn't work physically. It's the other thing, by the way. Obviously, you got to find a place that's conducive for that. Where I am, because I have a housemate, and taking care of a pet would be too much for the house. It wouldn't balance the house very well. But when I get a place of my own again, if I'm not with a partner, I think a pet will be additive to that. Whether it's going to be a dog and or a cat, that would be fun to have. And that's something I know definitely. I had a dog. She was probably my best teacher, frankly. The amount of love that she poured into me, which is another reason why I think pets are great on our holidays, was such a gift that I've never forgotten. I mean, she passed, God, 20 years ago now. It's going to be a while now. I remember. Yeah, it was probably just under 20 years ago, because I remember I got her in the early 90s. And so there was definitely this shift in my awareness. And I definitely I used to be allergic to cats, and I had sidebar slightly, that relationship I had where I went to, was talked about last week about going up to Idaho to Sun Valley and enjoying the Christmas time. She had 2 cats, but these 2 cats were attack cats. And I remember we were together, when we were in bed together, they would sleep under the bed, and they would attack the feet that came out of the bed. So I would always try to leap from the bed far enough away from it when I get out of the bed, to jump far enough away so they wouldn't catch my feet. So at that time, my comfort with cats was minimal, because the claws were like my kryptonite.
I think so.
But
that's such a funny story.
I have lots of stories from history, but that was one of those memories of going, yeah. One reason we have a challenge is because you didn't have a cat really human. They were fine with her, but she hadn't really brought them into understanding it's okay to be around other people, because they were so scared of me, because I was an outsider. I understand why they did it. I just wasn't happy with it.
No.
So, but having said, been around cats ever since, and I've had to take some serious care of a couple of cats of friends of mine when I was cat sitting with meds and stuff. So I've had to face those claws, but in a much different way, because I now know differently how to be with them. So cats I like a lot, especially, I'm going to say bigger cats, but cats like the, I'm getting a hold down on the rabbit hole, but Bengals or...
well, mine's the Maine Coon. You see my 30-pound cat.
Yeah, right. Well, Maine Coons are a bit too fluffy for me, but those sort of cats, which are bigger cats, they're more... Because the thing is, for me, it's like I like medium-sized to big dogs, and I like mid-sized to big cats.
I see.
Personally. Anyway, totally off topic.
That's okay. But I think it's really showing people the many layers of having a pet in your life, if you haven't had a pet before, and knowing, wow, you could have a part-time pet. And, I even, I have a meetup, that I do on virtual every night. And one of the people that come works at Orange County Airport. And he said the line was out the door and the flights were running late because they were so shocked there were so many people there. They were a little understaffed. So if you know somebody that's going out of town, whether they're going to go meet family or just go away for a staycation, you might even do some pet sitting for them. So now it's a limited time. It could just be a couple of days or a week. And that would give you a chance to have a little taste of what it's like to be around a pet. Yeah.
I mean, and of course, the other thing is as well, and it's the thing is, I wouldn't necessarily make a global assumption about cats or dogs or pets in general based on one experience. I have such a range of experiences with my friends. Some dogs are absolutely totally easy to take care of, and some dogs are very high maintenance. Same as relationships.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so true. Good segue.
We can definitely go back to that one another time about the whole maintenance relationships.
Yes.
So
are you more like a cat or more like a dog?
Are you high maintenance or low maintenance? That could be another topic for another time. Definitely, we haven't covered that one before.
That's a great topic.
So the thing about it, really, want to get back to is about this fear of being alone, because that's what the title is about. Is that we are in a place where, actually, I'm going to spin it another way. Is that we have this thing that being alone somehow is scary. And as I said before, I spent a lot of my Christmases alone. I've spent a lot of my life being alone. And there's a meme I've seen around, which I've shared a few times, which is, that I finally think I found the one. I'm really getting on with myself. I love who I am, and I'm great with who I am. And you've got to be someone pretty amazing to change that. And that's the thing, is that rather than feeling like I'm alone, I feel afraid, I don't want to be alone, I want to be with somebody else. Switch it around to understand that you're so amazing that you don't want to be with anybody unless they're amazing.
Yeah.
So that way, being alone is a place of like, I like who I am. I'm enjoying being with myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I talk a lot in my work, and I think you do too, about self-love practice and doing things that really honor who we are. Taking care of ourselves. And you can make that your Christmas present to yourself, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's bubble baths or amazing food that you order in, or you choose to lounge in silk pajamas all day, whatever that is, makes you feel good for yourself. There are things you can do that can change the experience. I know a lot of us want to be around other people. The question I have, though, is if you need to be around other people, what's driving that need? Because that's where and I've talked this many times before, the trap of codependency, where we don't think we're okay unless we're around other people in a relationship or even socially, can be a trap. So learning to actually enjoy our own company and to really embrace the fact that we deserve to be alone with ourselves because we value that time with ourselves can be a very big gift we give ourselves this holiday season.
And an additional piece to that, because I think part of the fear, because those are so many good points about how we build that foundation of being okay with ourselves and thinking we're enough and actually more than enough and amazing. The part of the fear, I think, is, well, what are other people going to think about me if I'm alone? Does that mean I'm not a good person or I'm not good enough? And how would I explain? Because everybody's telling me what their holiday plans are. And I'd say, you either get a chance of saying, I'm alone, or I'm alone. And this is what I'm going to do while I'm alone. So, I mean, you can just watch how my mannerisms, because that's what we do. We get small and internal.
Or we get big,
or we get grand. I'm a grand person and I'm going to spend the day being grand. And how can I spend the day being grand? And certainly not to make light of, I mean, there might be reasons to be sad. It might be your very first Christmas that you don't have your loved one. You broke up or they died, or you had a fight with your family. And so to acknowledge that, to sit with the sadness, and my advice for myself and other people is to set a timer. And it's not once and done. Sure, I get that, but you're going to set a timer, and 10 minutes, really 10 minutes. It's amazing how much energy and emotion you can get out if you have a limited time. If you know you're going to do your best, scream, yell, cry, punch a pillow, whatever, stomp your feet, have a tantrum like you're 3, that do that until the timer goes off. And you're going to think 10 minutes isn't very long. And it's a really long time if you concentrate on doing that. And then you're done and have what you're going to do next. And then if it happens during the day, you set the timer again. Have a huge fit. My mom used to call it having a fit and falling in it.
Perfect.
And you get so upset. So then you do that for 10 minutes again, and you could do it every hour if that's what you do. But because if you smush it down, it's going to get too big. And if you let it go on too long, it gets ingrained.
Absolutely.
So balancing it.
I love that containment. It's good to do. And I saw let's take a break too, by the way.
Yes. So we'll be right back after this wonderful commercial. And we're back.
And we're back.
Fabulous people that we're with on this fabulous radio station. With some pretty hot hosts, I think.
There's a lot of people out there doing, yes. We'll switch back again. And Christine, I think Cece will do that in a second.
Yes.
So, so what we were talking, talking about so many things.
Yes.
Oh yes, your timed rants or your timed grief or your timed
emotional.
If
you can't feel happy the whole time, which I tell people those are really major expensive drugs to feel happy all the time.
Indeed.
Really, because I'm a pretty happy person most of the time. It's just sort of how I am. And on this time when we put so much pressure on ourselves, so much pressure on this holiday, that it can be overwhelming and daunting, and you can feel like such a failure if you're not going to be happy all day. And being happy all day is a lot. And you could just be medium. I mean, even when I'm with my family, as lovely as it is, there's lots of medium times. You know, we'll all go off to our separate places and read a book for half an hour or go take a nap or, you know, go take a bath. And we do that because we're together for 7 to 10 days. You're not going to have all this time, right. Which is the littles I call them the short people. Well, my niece that's 11 has now passed me up by a 1/4 inch, but I told her I'm still going to call her the short person. She's taller than me. It is. It's what Auntie Chrissy calls her, and she says it's okay. So I'm glad I got permission to know, oh, that's right. It's kind of a rhythm. You know, our day goes through a rhythm that you're going to have times when you are going to feel happier. You know, you could do a caroling fun thing over the internet with friends if they sing, or you could be Milli Vanilli and lip sync, or cook together and eat together with people over the internet. And then you're going to have periods of time in between where you're going to be alone and you're like, okay, well, what am I going to do in this lower energy time? How can I do something that's lovely for me? You know, how can I reach out to somebody on a Facebook page that might be having a hard time? I'll reach out to them, and that makes you feel better that you've made them have a better day. Mm-hmm. And you keep thinking externally, because I think we get so internal that that's what can really make us feel like we're frozen.
Yeah, and on that note, I mean, I know for me, now I'm an extrovert, introvert at different times, which most of us are, I think, really.
Yeah.
So going out socially and being around friends, there is a feeling of like coming home and like walking in the door and going, there's a relief in a way. So sometimes Christmas, especially if you back in the old days, people worked all the time versus working from home. That thing about being in a place where you are having time away from all that. So Christmas can be the time off from people.
Yeah.
So the flip side can be where actually being alone is a good thing, because you want time just to be with your own thoughts and not worry that you have to dress up for other people. You can walk around in your sloppy clothes or your torn PJs, whatever, and have, you know, and leave stuff in the sink and do whatever you want to do. It's like you can treat Christmas as a day off, in a sense, a day of doing things perfectly in life. So that part of it's true too. The thing I want to come back to more and more, though, is that it really is about our relationship with ourselves that is the guidance through all of this.
Yes.
That this idea about a fear of being alone at Christmas, let me just cut off Christmas for a moment. A lot of people carry the fear of being alone, period. And for some people, there's almost like an addiction to being with somebody or with other people, either whether it's socially or sexually, like being in a relationship or being with other people. And for those sort of people, oftentimes they're actually avoiding, without realizing it, knowing who they really are. They're so immersed in out there, they don't look inside. So a lot of my work with my clients, even though I'm a relationship coach, what my real focus a lot of times is helping my clients learn to have a healthy relationship with themselves first. That's why I talk about self-love and self-support and these other things. Because truly it's the relationship with ourselves that we're here to discover more than anything else. And yes, when you're with other people, you learn more about yourself by reflection, as we all do, when you choose to look at that. So I'm offering the advanced class, so to speak, of how to have a healthy relationship with yourself through Christmas. Because, again, being alone at Christmas can be a very freeing time and a very rewarding time. So, yes, you can do your Zoom calls and everything else as well. But also you can savor the times you're with yourself. Again, bubble bars, champagne, fine dining, whatever you want to do at home. You can do those things.
Stay in bed for half the day. And
why not? Yeah.
Yeah, because you can. And don't make your bed.
Ooh.
Because who's going to see it?
But that's the point. Is the reality is you can do what you want. It's your day to play. It's like your birthday in a way, but at Christmas you can take the time to savor being with yourself. Yes, in that sense, you may not be having lots of presents for other people. Well, buy one for yourself and gift wrap it and put it under the tree if you have a tree. If you don't have a tree, put it by the fireplace or under the TV, wherever you want to put it. You can do some of the rituals. That's the word I'm looking for. Rituals of Christmas, even on your own. And it comes back to how do you enjoy yourself with yourself? Because I know I've been in groups of Christmas time where I actually was aching to get away from everybody because it wasn't my crowd, it wasn't my group. And even with family, I know there are times where I just like, I'm up to my limit now. I need to go somewhere else. So being alone at Christmas is no bad thing. That's what I just want to say, because there's a certain prejudice and almost a curse about, oh, you're alone at Christmas, there's something wrong with you, and I'll blame Hallmark for that one big time.
And Disney. So
Disney, Hallmark, because they do a lot of holiday movies. Disney doesn't do so much holiday movies, so I'm more about that Hallmark stuff. So anyway, sorry, you were saying.
Look at your rhythm. If you think about what is your normal, natural rhythm, most of us we're more alert at morning, afternoon, evening. What is that? What's the best time of the day for you? And what's the time that's the hardest that you then say, oh, well, I'm going to block out that time that it's the hardest for me to spend some time just giving to myself, to nurturing myself, to doing something that feels good and energizing to me. And then the time I know I'm the best is when I'm going to see if I can schedule it to be with people. Because if you do it when you're feeling down, it's not going to energize you. Usually it's going to deplete you even more. And then you won't have the energy for your energizing time for when you want to be with people.
Absolutely.
Might be a time to get even more acquainted with, well, what is my rhythm? The other thing I was thinking as we were coming to this subject today is, if you just think about this day, that's too much pressure. So that's why I said start today thinking about, well, what could you do today? And what could you do tomorrow on Christmas Eve? And then what could you do on Christmas Day? And then what are you going to do the next day after? And how are you going to get yourself prepared, which we'll talk about next week, for New Year's Eve and the coming year, which is going to be so much better. How do we parcel it out? How do we consciously come up with plans for ourselves that we have to rescue ourselves from falling into this pit of despair that can happen if you have this huge letdown. One of the things I would find when I had my event planning company for 25 years, a third of my business was weddings. The hoopla and the planning and their days were just consumed. And I would tell them all, you need to have a plan for after.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a letdown. You can't not do the letdown, but what are you going to do with the letdown? So this is as well, how do you ease into the day? And then how do you ease after the day so that you don't have this huge crash? Because that's just terrible. If you don't consciously think about it, most people set themselves up for this crash. Yeah. So I want you to think really consciously what kinds of things you can do as well, because you're probably still going to have maybe a day or two off after, because it's the weekend. And what are you going to do to help yourself feel productive, feel cared about, feel nurtured, feel energized? Can you go on a walk with somebody with masks? Can you set up, we both cooked and let's do our leftovers together at a picnic table, at the park, so that you don't have this after.
Right. Absolutely. In fact, I would say definitely if the weather permits it, and if you're in a place where you can go walking outside, going for a walk on Christmas is a good thing to do too, because I would suggest there'd be quite a few people out about walking about too, because since most of the stores are closed and everything else is closed on Christmas, walk in the neighborhood, just going for a walk or going to the local park or wherever it's safe to do so, is a good thing to do, because it's a chance to just get some fresh air, which is a good thing right now. Get some air in your lungs, get some, if there's sun on your face, but also to be out socially, see other people. You can wave, you can smile even with a mask on. Yeah. Although if you're more than 8 feet, 10 feet apart, you probably can walk around without your mask on. That's again, I'm not advising that. I'm just saying what you have to find where you are, where you live.
Not Dr. Selby, yes.
Far from it. No PhD and nothing else.
Yeah.
Okay. But one thing I was also going to add to that question, thing about Christmas, because I had thought about gift giving, and what I recognize is that we often don't give gifts to ourselves. Now, I'm not saying you need to go on Amazon right now and try and get stuff in the next 2 days to get it to your, to get it in the house in time. But what gifts can you give yourself, which could be things of gratitude or things of upliftment that you could maybe write about? You could even, and this can sound very silly, but you can actually write out things that you believe about yourself. I believe I'm stronger. I believe I'm healthy. I believe I'm beautiful. All these things you say about yourself, and put them into either affirmations or put them onto note paper and put them around your house.
Mm-hmm.
Put on a mirror in the bathroom and treat those as gifts you give to yourself. It sounds very simplistic, but the recognition when you start to see that coming back to you by putting these notes around on the toaster or, again, in the bathroom or on the TV or whatever, put anything around as reminders to yourself that you're worthy, because it is the holiday of giving, so to speak. Giving to yourself, I think, should be your top choice for yourself to spend Christmas doing that.
Oh, I love all of your suggestions. All of your suggestions. I will do that. I will add. I have notes everywhere in lots of places, but I'm thinking about, I could put one on my pillow that says I'm loved, I'm adored, and I could put one on my refrigerator because I certainly go there frequently. So yeah, I love that idea a lot, because if I do it purposely, because I do have my notes, but if I purposely say I'm doing this as a gift, maybe I'll even draw a little bow, or I could stick a piece of ribbon on it so that inside I'll hear it as a present. Oh, there's another present. Oh, I'm giving myself a present of this wonderful Oh, I am so going to do that, Barry. Suggestion a lot.
You're welcome.
Yes. Yeah. So that's so important to think about ongoing. And then what happens is if you get doing it and you like it, it's going to become a habit, which we really need to form more positive habits for ourselves.
Absolutely.
The more we like it, the more we'll go do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we go do it, the more we're going to like it. So this is a perfect time to be giving yourself lovely gifts. And my birthday was a week and a half ago, and I get lovely gifts from my friends and family, and I always buy myself a present, and I always buy myself a Christmas present. And I will tell you, I do wrap them.
There you go.
I love wrapping presents and making fancy bows. It's sort of my thing. And I think, well, I need to do that for me too. I can't just do it for other people. I want to have a really pretty present to unwrap for myself.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that maybe it's just my makeup. I think a lot of people think they're always like, I can't do that. It's like, why not?
Why not?
So the idea of being able to give yourself gifts. Yeah, if you give yourself a physical gift, or it's something, again, intangible, or something where you put affirmations or confirmations about who you are around the house. These are all things we can do to support ourselves in feeling good. Why not do that?
Well, now you've inspired me again, because one Valentine's year, when my husband was still alive and my stepdaughter was still living with us, I got beautiful velvet boxes, and I made 100 things that I loved about each of them. Them in their boxes so that every day they could pull one out. I'm going to do one for me. I've never done one for me.
There you go.
I am going to do that. I think that's a great, I never thought about doing that for me.
Glad I can inspire you.
You did. It just bubbled up to the surface. I thought, well, I could do that. So thank you, Barry. Your gift is continuing to give.
It's my pleasure. It's funny because I've been looking at things. I've talked about this before about doing gratitude as a gratitude thing, which I do for myself all the time. But this idea about putting affirmational things, again, or as I call them, confirmational things. Why not confirm that you're amazing and wonderful and everything else? Mm-hmm. Having those as a seed planting, and as what you said is perfect. Yes, Christmas Day can be a good chance to practice that, but then make it a habit, a daily practice that keeps going, because the more you do it, the better it gets.
Mm-hmm. The better you get it. It's like exercising a muscle.
Exactly.
Is that something you'd like to get good at?
So practicing those things is a great way. And yes, there is a sense of, at first it might feel a bit clunky, going like, I can't do that. It's like, well, do it anyway.
Yeah.
Put your critics to one side and just do the practice. It is as simple as it sounds. It can bring up lots of stuff, I know, because when I started doing this first, initially, I was definitely challenged by it, because I was like, I can't do that. Either I don't believe it, or I'm not worthy of it, or I shouldn't. Some of the other rule stuff is like, all that stuff is in here. Take it out, put it aside, and just do it, see what happens.
Do it anyway.
Yeah, because you'll be amazed at what can happen. The results might surprise you. Again, if you do it as a regular practice, starting on Christmas Day, starting today if you want to, but starting Christmas Day and just doing it as a habit. I mean, they say it's between 21 and 28 days to change a habit.
Yeah.
So imagine doing it for a month. That's going to basically program a new thing into your system. You might start the new year in a whole new paradigm you did before.
Isn't that an exciting thought?
I love it.
I know. So you and I will figure out a practice that each of us are going to do for our, in addition to what we're already doing, and come back and chat about it. And hopefully people will write to us and tell us the things that they're adding to their life that's making them feel more positive about themselves. And I think that's what we need in the world right now, is if we could just get some positivity going for ourselves, it will feel less oppressive.
Right.
At the moment. Yeah.
The world isn't about giving us positivity. It's time to do it for ourselves. I mean, we do it for our clients, but we can do it for ourselves as well.
Because most people are very good about giving it out, but they're not as always good about giving it in.
Right.
Well, Cece says we have to close again.
I had a feeling.
And we're ready. We're always doing it longer. So please write to us and tell us, if this has been helpful or interesting, or if you have more questions, or gosh, you took any of our suggestions and how it turned out. We'd love to know. So the way that you can get a hold of me is through my website, www.theperfectcatch.com, and click on what's holding you back from love. And we can have a conversation about what is or isn't happening in your life that is making you unhappy or happy. And you can also reach me through an email at Christine@theperfectcatch.com, and Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram. And I would love to have you write to me. And Barry, please tell people how they can reach you.
Of course. So my website is my name, which is barryselby.com. You can definitely click on the Let's Chat button on the top left-hand side of the navigation to sign up for a conversation with me, a gift from me to you. It's a 30-minute complimentary chat. You can drop me an email too, barry@barryselby.com, if you want to send me what you got out of this, if you've gotten some tips, if you've taken anything to heart, if you've implemented anything and it's changed your life, definitely let me know that. And also on my social media, you can find me on my name, Barry Selby, is on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest. On Facebook, my business page is barryselby.author, and on Instagram it's the real Barry Selby. But otherwise, you can find me all the places. And on YouTube, I have a lot of videos. If you want to find me on YouTube, I have a whole playlist on love and relationships. There's 1,000 talks there to keep you busy for the whole of the holidays.
Yeah, that could be their Christmas present to themselves, is to watch very helpful, informative. I have seen a lot of them.
Thank you.
Helpful and informative. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I hope that you, Barry, have a lovely next few days till we meet again on Monday.
And Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Sorry, yeah. The caption says join us next Thursday, because our show is normally on Thursdays, but because of the holidays, because that's Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, we're doing special shows today, Wednesday, and then next Wednesday before New Year. So join us on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. East Coast time.
See, you need to say that, because today it's not Thursday, even though my calendar said we were talking. And I got confused. So there you go.
There you go.
So we will see you next week on Wednesday. Bye.
See you then. Bye.